What's going on, everybody? It is Easter weekend. This is the first weekend of the month and the first Monday of the month. So we have our second guest today, and it's going to be some really great content. So stay tuned and welcome to Life Talks. What's happening, everybody? So we have taken a week off. We know we said we was going to give everybody a weekly podcast, but May kind of took us by surprise by having 5 weeks. And
it's April.
Yeah, that's right.
Not May, and you're talking about March.
Yeah, I'm talking about March. Right. As you can tell, it's been stressful the last weeks. But we have had a few things going on since then, and so we're going to discuss some of those today. One of the cool things we have today is we have our second guest. Connor, would you like to introduce our guest? I met him just recently, but I guess you've known him for a while, right?
Month and a half, maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah. So today we have Prophet, Reverend, Minister, Caleb Smith, whatever he wants to go by. And that's from Tylertown, Mississippi.
Yeah, Tylertown.
His dead pastor's Calvary Temple right there. And so, yeah, he's joined us today. He actually come to catch in on a little volleyball action today here at the church. So
yeah, that worked out real good.
Yeah, we got us one good game in. The Lord's been on his side today. He got him. Well, we won't say that in case his dad listens, but
yeah, leave that one out.
It's nothing horrible. Don't get any ideas, everyone. Well, somebody's knocking at the door. Hallelujah. Anyway, so let's get into it.
So, Caleb, we are excited to have you on today. We just found out you're a prophet, an evangelist, and a reverend.
I found out I was a prophet, too, just about 30 seconds ago.
So we expect for the Lord to start using these in these gifts.
Yeah, we'll see.
I actually met Caleb for the first time at Youthquake.
Yeah.
Back, let's see, when was that? Last week?
Last week.
Was that last week?
Right about this time, I was still suffering from about 42 hours of no sleep.
42 hours.
I went 42 hours with no sleep.
So is that why you was passing out Red Bulls?
Yeah, that's exactly why.
I don't think that was the reason, but we'll put it on that. Let's just say for maybe every Red Bull there was a number exchanged. Maybe.
Well, the Lord moved mightily in that situation. Let's just say.
So what kind of variety did you get there? How many area codes?
Well, there were quite a few. Not really. No, to be honest, I don't think I got any numbers. I don't believe. I'm not one of them people that get numbers. I was like, if I hang out with you all night, I'm probably not going to get your number. Like, I'm not going to ask for it. It's just, if we see each other again, we hang out, yeah, maybe. But I'm just not one of them guys go to a youth rally and just, hey, get all these numbers. It's not me.
Amen. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Real good.
Connor needs to learn that a little bit.
Oh, whatever. All Connor done was reconnected with some friends.
Well, I'll stay out of that one.
No, I don't think he got any numbers, but as soon as he brought out the Red Bulls, they flopped.
Oh,
so.
man. It's like
he was wanting attention. He got it.
Well, it's like free welfare. It's like...
I think it was
That's not supposed to be on the show, is it?
No, it's good. I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning. He's like, let's walk to my truck. I'm going to get a Red Bull. And there was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 girls around the vehicles. And he popped the ice chest open and pulled 1 or 2 out. And they come running over there. Can we get one? We'll give you $10. He's like, no, I don't need the $10. You can have it.
Just let the Lord use me.
I'm going to be a willing vessel, Lord.
I want to be a willing vessel.
He's like, God, if they got a cute girl that's their friend somewhere around this campus.
So let's talk a little bit about what did you think about Friday night, the actual service?
The service was awesome. I'll say that. I mean, I don't mean this in any other way than what I'm about to say this. I think it was one of the best Youthquakes I've been to in a very long time. I mean, just Brother Fish walking into that environment where, and a meeting like that, you know, you got Youthquake, you've got Peak, and there's different crowds there, but in meetings like that, you can basically preach just about anything, you know, you can have a shout out if you wanted to. And
definitely.
And for Brother Fish to go in there and preach that message, it was just amazing.
That good fish oil, wasn't it?
It was good fish oil. It was a really good message. I think it was something that all young people should need to hear. Yeah.
So, if you weren't there, he started out by bringing out a bed.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say that guy that laid in that bed for that hour or so, whole time, bro, he did not move. Legit, the dude did not move. I don't know how. What was worse is he crawled in the bed with his shoes on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like he took off his jacket, took off his top.
He took everything off but the shoes.
He's going to get in bed with shoes on. Like, I don't understand.
I wish I could remember his name because he deserves a shout out.
I remember his name. It was Gatlin Beard.
Gatlin
Beard.
Gatlin.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
So so Brother Fish preached, what was it, checked in at Hell's Hotel.
Yeah.
Man, there is, so I was talking about this with somebody else. I think maybe me and you both were, Connor, that it seems like a lot of people just don't preach on hell as much anymore.
No.
I mean,
no, they don't.
It seems like when you preach on it, it's so sporadic, and what I mean is like so, I can't find the words I'm trying to use here.
Random when they do.
Random, there we go. Yeah, it's so random and like so littly preached on that when it does preached on, everybody just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Everybody's just lost, you know.
So, like, I've been to a lot of meetings, and I've been to a lot of youth rallies, heard a lot of preachers preach, and back 30 years ago, hell, a message on hell, you're hear something about once a week. And so I guess the generation took on a whole new meaning of, well, we don't want to scare people to death. Well, the real deal is, if you don't paint a picture of hell, they don't understand. That's why you got so many young people backsliding because they haven't heard preaching on hell.
What's there to be afraid of about living the way you're living?
Yeah. Like, I've never seen a day and hour where young people are backsliding.
Man, I remember when I was a kid growing up, they'd preach on hell, scare the snot out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Scare the snot out of me. Like, I just knew I was going to go home and I was going to die that night, and I was going to be lost.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, I think this generation that's coming up, they're getting back to that. Because it took a little while. I mean, I've saw a lot of young people who think they can live any other way because hell is not preached on anymore. I mean, we can preach about shouting, we can preach about dancing, we can preach about revival, and every bit of that's necessary. We can preach on, grace and mercy, and every bit of that is necessary. I'm not belittling anything, but there has to be I'm trying to think of the word to use here. There's got to be something there that says, I cannot go to hell. That songwriter wrote, above all else, I got to be saved. He didn't write that. I don't. And this, when I hear that, it's not he wrote that because heaven is so great. Although heaven is, he was writing, I can't. Above all else, I can't go to hell because I can't go.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I used to think of, like, and I still do. It's not an option.
Yeah,
like there is no other. There is no other option.
No. Yeah,
right. I've got to go to heaven. There's nothing else. Like
yeah. So like me, I will preach on hell, and when I preach hell, I try to paint a picture of hell where nobody will want to go, but I don't leave them hanging there. It's like, you're dying and go to hell. Like, no. Like, at the end, I'll be like, okay, but that doesn't have to be the end.
Right.
You know, I think I've heard preachers preach on hell, fire, and brimstone, and, you know, you could feel the heat. I think it goes over a lot better when you got some mercy and grace.
Well, I listened to one last night. It was not on hell, but it made you think. And it was, I don't know if y'all have listened to him, but Brother Cody Fedrick. I don't know, some of y'all might have heard him preach before. I've never heard him. But he preached on the journey of death. He asked them in the very beginning, he said, how many of y'all would willingly raise your hand, volunteer to go wrap your car around a tree when you leave the service tonight? And he said, none of you would do it. And he said, but you have a chance to die out at the altar.
That's good.
Like, it's one of those deals like you can't really get it all good over YouTube, but you get it strong enough. It's good.
Yeah.
Man, I listened to one, I think it was Brother Foss, maybe it was. It was on Apple Podcast on one of those things where like you can go back and listen to some of the old preachers.
Yeah, Apostolic Classics.
Yeah, Apostolic Classics, that's what it is. And he preached A Date with Destiny.
Oh, wow.
And
I've heard that before.
I would listen to that message. Now, this is like back in, I think it's like early 2000s, maybe even 90s or something.
Yeah.
Bro, I got chills listening to that message because it was one of those things is like, if you're not careful, like, from the way I took that he was preaching, it was almost like somebody's got a date with destiny coming up soon.
Yeah.
And you're fixing to die. Like, you don't have an option.
That's pretty
you
serious.
better know what your destiny is.
Yeah.
Like, I recommend people to go listen to that.
Oh, yeah.
It was really good.
I tell you another one, and he just preached it. Brother Mark Copeland.
He's going to be short-winded if he ain't got water, guys.
He's short-winded. Brother Mark Copeland just preached a message, Loss.
Yes.
Did you listen to that?
I didn't listen to it, but I heard it was
Let
really good.
me tell you something. It was probably one of the best messages I've ever heard on that subject.
Have you ever heard his message that he preached? He's preached it multiple places, but the scars of sin.
Yes.
That's a real good one, too.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
And it makes you think about what you do now.
Right.
And for what's going to happen in the future. It makes you think about it.
I have a message that I preach. I titled it "The Mercy of a Loving God." That's my title. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading in Psalms 106, and it talked about all the things that Israel had done. You know, the building the golden calf, moaning and groaning against Aaron and Moses and all that. And then the Bible said that the wrath of the Lord was kindled against his own people. And so it goes on to say different things that the Lord wanted to do. And then I think it was like verse 44, 45 of 106. It said, nevertheless, he regarded their affliction when he heard their cry.
Right.
And so I preach, you can be in the deepest, darkest place on the face of sin. As long as you don't blaspheme the Holy Ghost, God's still going to use you. Maybe not use you in the way he was going to, but you're not lost. The mercy and grace of God is like, just blows my mind.
His grace is sufficient.
Yeah.
It's everlasting.
Yeah, and his mercy is renewed every morning. And I think God has a mercy point. I think people trump on his mercy sometimes, but
definitely. Look at the children of Israel.
Yeah.
He was ready to kill them dead.
Many times, yeah. He's like, this is it.
Wouldn't have been for good old Moses.
It wouldn't have been for a good pastor. We could preach on that for a little while right
What
here.
does Brother Patrick say? He just said it Sunday about the cycles. He always brings up Israel and that. Israel had a cycle over and over.
Yeah, they and I'm not saying we're better people, but this is kind of going off subject here, but they were pretty complaining people.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds you of people nowadays.
Oh, man. I ain't don't even get me started.
Well.
Man, you can get, oh, Lord, I'm going to shut up. I done said something.
So we played some volleyball today. We got whooped a lot.
Yeah, poor Brother Caleb here come and played one game.
Yeah. Reverend Connor over here calling like, hey, what's going on? He said,
yeah, he wanted to come play some volleyball. He called me.
He said, I'm playing volleyball. I was like, he said, you should come to the church. And I said, man, I'm in a suit and tie. I'm like, I'm not volleyball material. He's like, come on anyway. I'm like, well, look, if I go, I'm a play. So I went to Academy and I bought like a whole new outfit and I could show up and they're like, are you looking for Connor? I'm like, yeah. I was like, he said he was going to play some ball. He's like, oh, they're in the church practicing music. I'm like, what?
Right after. So literally when you called me, the ball got hit right to me. And everybody's like, what are you doing on your phone? I was like, trying to get us another ball player.
Being a witness. That's what he said, being a witness.
Yeah, I said being a witness. He was like, oh, you got somebody coming. I was like, Yeah. And so I tried hanging up with you, and they hit it to me again. And so I just threw the phone.
Excuses.
Yeah, excuses, real big excuses. Well, Carson just got told to put his phone up too, so I was like, I think I threw the phone to Alex or somebody. So then you almost got you a blue light special.
Yeah, the Lord moves in mysterious ways.
Blessings.
You was moving too.
I was moving you right.
You was getting some free tickets, wouldn't you?
I don't know what I was. The mercy of God showed up. Let me just put it that way. Thank the Lord. But hey, that's part of it. You break the limit, you're gonna get a ticket.
Yeah. So you come in because we was getting ready to practice for Easter tomorrow.
Yeah, we forgot about practice though. I know I did.
Well, I mean, I knew it was at some point.
I forgot about Easter in general. Until like today, I was like, oh no, Easter's tomorrow. I gotta go get me a suit.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about it until last week. Looked at the calendar, getting ready for all these finals, and they're like, y'all got Good Friday and Easter. I was like, wait a second.
Have you ever thought about that? And I know this is not where this podcast is going, but
Go for it.
you ever thought about that? And I heard Brother Marks preach on it. Whoever, now, obviously, when it took place, it was not a Good Friday. You know, for the disciples.
It wasn't a Good Friday.
It wasn't. But 2,000 years later, we can look back and say, you know, hey, 2,000 years ago,
that wasn't a Good Friday.
It was not a Good Friday, not just for Jesus knew what he was doing. Jesus knew what was going to happen. But think about his followers. Peter, James, John, they dedicated their lives to this man. And he tried to prepare them, hey, I'm going to die. I'm going to have to give my life so that somebody else can be saved. He tried to prepare, but for some reason they didn't get it. You know? And so when he dies, and we can pull that in a type of shadow of, to us today, there are times in our lives where we feel like he is, and this is a millennial term, ghosted us. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have been in them situations where I prayed and prayed and prayed, and
where are you?
Yeah, and it's
where are you at though?
Oh Lord,
yeah,
help
like
us, God.
Where are you? There's no. I remember I was in a service one night.
It's almost like you were friend zone. Almost. It's like, not today.
Not today. I was in a service, and I remember it was all praying and stuff, and everybody was crying. And I remember I'm sitting there, and I was doing everything I could. And I was searching myself, and it's like he just was not there.
Couldn't feel nothing.
And I finally grabbed somebody. I said, what is wrong with me? And they looked at me and said, Caleb, it's not you. I said, what do you mean? It's got to be me. I said, look around. Everybody here is bawling. They're getting what they need. I said, I'm over here trying. I can't feel God. He said, let me ask you something. He said, when you take a test, when you take a test in school, do you get to talk to the teacher?
Nope.
Where now?
And he said, you got to think about it this way. God's going to put you in tests. In times he may not talk to you, just to see what you're going to do. Woo! You got to stop playing that piano music. I'm about to preach in here. Who is that?
That's actually the youth in the youth
room. Oh, that's
room.
In there?
Right, yeah.
My God, I need to come in here and play that. We'll have an altar call up in here. My Lord. But, I mean, serious, it's just the truth. There are times.
Bro, let me tell you, you are not alone on that. I have been in services, and I'm like I'm sitting there like, man, it seems like somebody's, right sitting beside you, and they're getting one of the best blessings ever, and you're just sitting there like, I've got to be backslid.
Yeah.
What's that song Carson was just playing earlier? Lonely. That's how you feel, like really, really lonely. You sit there and it's just awkward.
It's tough in those times. You know what? But I found out in those times, if I'm not getting my blessing right then, there's a reason. God has a plan and a purpose for everything. So you know what? I may not be rejoicing for myself, but hey, if I know my brother or my sister, they've been struggling, going through something, and hey, God's moving for them, I'm going to rejoice with them because I know it ain't going to be too long. He's going to move for me.
You know, one thing that always helped me out when I get in those situations is I would pray, and I would just have to tell myself and tell the Lord, you know, and I would just say it like I wouldn't while I'm praying, just out loud, like, Lord, I know you're hearing me.
Yeah.
I know you're listening. You know, and I just have to go with it and settle it in my mind that even though I don't feel anything, and it seems like I'm praying to a wall, he's right there. Yeah. You know, and sometimes it's that helps get you through. Because, man, let me tell you, if you want to go through a test, that's a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
That is a struggle right there.
Yeah.
Well, I know for me, not too long ago, I guess I could say I was in one of those situations. I sit there and it was at an altar call, I think it was like Tuesday night, something like that. Pastor preached a phenomenal message. It just didn't faze me at all.
Yeah.
Like I was unbothered. And finally I got to the altar call and I was just standing there praying. I was like, can't feel nothing.
Yeah.
Been going through some stuff. I was like, all right, God, what else do you want? This is what I've dealt with all week. You know what you kind of put me through all week.
Yeah.
I acquiesced. I said, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Because I can't feel nothing. It finally broke. But,
right.
it
You
took a while.
And it seems like sometimes when you get to those places, it's like your eyes just dry up like a desert. Like you can't cry, you can't squall, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I know for me, and I'm sure it's this way with a lot, but if I can start praying and I start putting, feeling into it and I start getting emotional, it seems like that really brings in the presence of the Lord. Yeah. Those tears, says a lot. And so when you can't cry, it's like when the rivers of your eyes dry up.
What else do? You got to wait out the drought.
I've heard my dad tell me a story many times as I've grown up over the years as a teenager. He said he was sitting there crying one night in church, and he said, God, I hate being the only person crying. He said for a solid year straight, he could not cry.
Oh, wow.
At all. And I was like, you know what?
I'll say this.
If I can't cry, I'm not going to complain. If I do cry, I'm not going to complain.
My dad, he has a statement. He says, tears is language only God can understand.
Right. They are.
There are times when I go to pray at the church, I don't say 2 words. And it's not because I'm sad. It's not because I'm going through something. Sometimes you just get in the presence of the Lord, you just start weeping,
Right.
And those times, you know what? I find, there's a lot of preachers that preach it, but it's just true. But there's a lot of preachers that preach it. Your biggest victories are not going to be on top of the mountain. They're not, when you're victorious, man, you're full of faith. Well, it's in those times where you don't know, hey, if I'm going to make it or if I'm going to. And there are times where you just sit back and say, okay, I've got to make it. And your biggest victories are always going to be in the valley. Always. You're going to grow in the valley. It may not feel good, but you're going to grow.
Yeah, you're going to grow.
You're going to grow spiritually.
Well, before we move on, I seen something. A lot of people don't care for Facebook, but I seen it today. If it's lonely at the top, just remember it's lonely at the bottom as well.
Yeah.
And so, hey, sometimes you're going to face it, whether you're good, up and high on a mountain or down in the valley, you're going to deal with it.
Just because you're in the valley, really, you're just changing mountaintops. I mean, how are you going to go to another mountain without going through a valley?
You're right. You're right.
Before we start winding this thing up, I know we're cutting it kind of short to our listeners tonight, but
we don't want to hold y'all for an hour like last week.
Yeah,
we got the preaching spirit.
Got kind of carried away here. And the way it's already been going, we might get a little carried away.
I almost got carried away a little bit there for a minute.
But Brother Caleb is actually going to be starting a podcast.
Yeah. And
you want to give us a little quick brief overview of what it's called and what's going to be going on with that?
So, really, it's kind of crazy. I had the idea around the same time y'all started Jaws. and I didn't know it. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this." I said, "I just don't know how to get it started." And then he told me, he said, "You need to get it hooked up with Connor Torrey." He said he just started one. And I said, "Oh Lord." Not in a bad way, but so I called Connor. I'm like, "Hey,"
he's like, "Dude, don't think I'm copying."
Yeah, like, please. I was like, "I don't want you to think I was trying to steal your idea." I said, "I had this." I said, "I didn't know y'all had one." And so we talked for probably about an hour and a half on stuff. And so I got the equipment and all that, and so it's actually going to be called Truth Podcast. So there's like a lot of podcasts out there for diving in to the Word of God, and which is needed. You know, you got Biblos with Pastor Nathaniel Urshan, Kingdom Speak with Pastor Daniel McKillop.
Good stuff.
Oh yeah,
Bibliotheca, where Brother Tim had. Let me throw that out there.
There's a lot of good podcasts, but as far as something for young people, there's not really one to cover. Hey, this is what you're going to go through as a young person. There are going to be these times where you're going to face this and you're going to question yourself. There's not really anything out there. And so I'm not saying we won't dive in to the Word of God at some point, but that's going to be the theme for it, is geared towards young people and trying to help them.
I feel that preaching spirit coming on that podcast.
We was asked a couple weeks ago, someone, it's like, we didn't get the podcast. I was like, it was geared to young people. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like we try to, I think more of our audience is over 40, if we're honest.
So I looked at our thing. The majority group of our listeners are actually above 60.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hey, I'll be honest with you.
We might need to gear it towards that age bracket then.
I told my granddad, and I said, "Hey, I'm starting a podcast." He said, "What's that?" I'm like, "Never mind."
It's okay.
I was like, "Never mind. We're going to leave that. You'll figure it out. Just listen."
I'll hook you up with it.
Yeah.
Someone come to us the other day. Is it me or Alan? I don't remember. It's like, something's wrong with your podcast.
It's too truthful.
No. Is a lady in our church. She hit the wrong button and it changed the speed of our voice, and it was dragging super slow.
Well, never mind. I can't say that.
Yeah, it was country, real country. It was hilarious. So I'm glad she come to us. I'm just glad she come and told us about it, because I thought something really went wrong.
Yeah,
we got her lined away.
So what all are you going to be available on?
I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, and all that. There's a lot of different platforms I'm on. Those are the three main ones. Those are three main things. I mean, if you want something else, let me know.
I can say that 70-something% of our listeners are Apple Podcasts.
Yeah,
everybody has either a Google phone or Android, which has the same platform,
and everything has
or
Spotify.
An iPhone. Right?
Yeah. So I mean, those are the three main ones. We're on a few different ones, but
yeah. Well, Caleb, it's been great having you.
Yeah,
we're going to have to get you back.
Yeah, we'll do it.
It's when you get that podcast out there, let us know.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
Be sure, everybody, to like, share, 5 stars only. Write some comments, and we'll catch y'all next week
on Life Talks from an Apostolic perspective.
On Life Talks.